Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome. Today is Tuesday. It is October 25th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. And I will say good morning to Stacy, Mark, Frank, Brian, Dennis, Jenny, and all the rest of you, whether you are watching live or later. Thanks for coming by. It is, as Dennis says, World Karate Day. Whether or not you train karate, your martial arts has been influenced by karate. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And if you do train karate, then I don't know, double celebrations? I don't know. I feel like celebrating World Karate Day somehow involves horse stance. Oh, let's turn that over. We don't need phone notifications. How was your Monday? Did you check out that episode with Maddie Madison? Did you see what I was talking about? Just such a good and heavy, powerful story. Just very thankful that we got to bring that to you, that I got a chance to talk to her. Really meant a lot to me. And what are you doing today? So I'm trying to take a half day. Stacy and I are going to work on award stuff this morning. And once we're done with that, if all goes well, knock on wood, I will take the rest of the day off because I am still exhausted. I did go to bed at a decent hour last night. I feel rested, but my soul is still tired in a way, you know. Lots of time on a plane, lots of time that I didn't get to do the things that nourish me, that sustain me, like hanging out or being outside. And the weather is supposed to be good. I think there's a little bit of rain this morning, and then it's supposed to be 70 this afternoon. So I think I'm going to go for a long walk or a hike or something. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do. Frank says that his research indicated there are actually 2 World Karate Days. One's today, the other June 17th. I suppose it depends on who you ask. Good morning to you, Tommy. Maybe we need our own calendar. Maybe we need our own calendar of dates, of birthdays, because some of these days have more than one thing. That would be quite a project. Would this group want to take on that project of building out an official First Cup 365 days a year martial arts calendar with various dates of birth and death and celebrations of things like this? That would be kind of neat. I'm sure Frank would appreciate having that as a resource. If anybody wants to work on that, let me know. Brian's got his second Tuesday in Waterbury, which is just over there, for training. Module 2, this is his new job. It's an 8-week course. New job has a lot to learn. Later, costume shopping for the children. Halloween party in class tomorrow night. Pumped. I have always enjoyed the Halloween party at Master Rhoda's. That was fun. Yeah. What am I doing today? Otherwise, that's it. What did I do yesterday? Had a few meetings. Packed up some orders. I got 3 big boxes over there. I've got to order some other boxes, some larger size boxes. I had one order that came in and I said, oh, I don't want to put this in 3 boxes. I'll put this in 1, and it still took 2. For those of you who don't know such things, I will share with you that most of the time, if you can get your boxes under 3 pounds and 12 inches per side, things are fairly inexpensive. It's when you start crossing those as you go from 3 to 4 pounds, as you go from all your sides under 12 to 1 over 12 to 2 to all 3 over 12. In fact, it's so dramatic that I have boxes in the warehouse that are 24 by 12 by 12. It's a very strange looking box. It's quite oblong, but it is much less expensive than, let's say, 16 by 16 by 16. Although that would be a much larger box volume wise. Stacy says, awards meeting. Woohoo. Tommy's doing piñatas on Wednesday night, classes for kids, Kung Fu Halloween. That's awesome. And Frank says, yesterday I had a wonderful call with my good friend Jeremy Lesniak. I heard that guy's kind of nice. And Jenny says, had a great meeting with you. That's me. Yesterday, I really felt energized after our call. And I'm not just saying that to be nice to you on your morning show. I truly enjoyed our chat. You know, I hate meetings. Hold on. Don't run away emotionally with that yet. Because I hate meetings, I try to make sure that any meetings that I am either calling or responsible for or heavily involved in are efficient and enjoyable. If somebody's going to give their time, and if we are going to collaborate our time, our mutual time, to an end, I want to make sure that there's at least a bit of a smile for everyone involved, and I want to make sure that it's effective. Tasks expand to the time available. If you schedule an hour meeting, your meeting will take an hour. If you schedule 30 minutes, your meeting will take 30 minutes. In fact, if it were not for my goal that meetings are enjoyable, I would have 20-minute meetings because they can be. Almost every meeting I have could be 20 minutes. All right, this is what I did. What did you do? You did this? Okay, let's see. Let's talk about that. All right, that's cool. Go do this thing. Bye. You guys are being too nice to me. Kelly says, all week, every class is a Halloween party. Students wear costumes, we play games, and they have to kick their candy. And there was a question to Tommy, do the piñatas have to be kicked open? He says different ones, different obstacles to open them. Dennis says, at my funeral, I want there to be a piñata so that people are happy, but filled with bees because I don't want them to be too happy. And this is why Dennis and I are friends, because I think that's hysterical. You know, here's a thought. If we could guarantee that we could watch our own funerals from the other side, can you imagine how ridiculous and elaborate they would be? The only thing stopping us from spending all of our money at death on crazy death parties is the fact that we aren't sure if we get to watch them. Piñatas full of bees, or what about, I don't know, hiring your favorite musician for a concert at the gravesite? I think if we could guarantee that, I think we would look at death so differently. I think it would be much more celebratory. I wish it was. I think it should be. I think when people pass away, yeah, it's sad, but I wish we could, and I know other cultures do it differently. I wish we could kind of restructure the way we handle death to, okay, yeah, it's really sad this person's gone, but let's go all out and celebrate them. I know it happens for some people, but I wish it happened for everyone. Kelly says, I'd want more like an Irish wake, drinks, partying, and stories. Yeah, that's what I'm used to. That's what I think would be great. If anybody's doing anything cool today, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the chat. Stacy says, when my parents died, I rented out their favorite restaurant. We had a Sicilian, similar to Irish Wake, wine, stories, laughter, tears. Yeah. There was, and culturally, there's been enough of an undertone with this. There's been a shift. Someone that I used to do some consulting around, not for, but with, we worked for some of the same clients. She lives in Montpelier, and she started a project. Stacy, I have a feeling, knows about this project called the Wake Up to Dying Project. And the whole premise was getting people to tell their stories. You know, I'm all about stories before they passed away. And there were a bunch of grants, and her goal was to change Western attitudes on death and dying. And it kind of worked, because she said when she started, you know, it was really difficult to get grant funding. It was difficult to get people to understand. And then after a few years, there were similar projects. There were almost competing projects. And she said, you know, my work's done. This is happening. People are doing it. They're doing the work. They're talking. And so she went off to do something else. And I think that that's kind of cool. This is part of why, you know, you guys don't see on the back end, but Andrew and I talk about certain guests that we want to have on the show. And I'll be very honest. There are certain people that are old. I want them on the show. Not because it's our show, but because I want to make sure that at least some of their story is captured and freely available forever. We've had 4 guests pass away, right? Quinn, Jim Ray. I believe it's 4. It's at least 3. If it's 4, I'm forgetting the 4th one, and that makes me sad. But those people who've passed on, their episodes will always be available. And because of the quote rights that we put on the episode, you can share it wherever you want, as long as you share it in entirety. We're not trying to restrict other people from having it, from saving them, from posting them elsewhere. They just need to be available in full. Because who knows what happens 100 years from now, 200 years from now. How cool would it be if we could go back and listen to an interview with Funakoshi or any early martial arts pioneer? I think that'd be kind of neat. Jenny says, death for me transitions pretty quickly into celebration. That doesn't mean there was no sadness. Rather, I find gratitude in knowing the person that has passed. I love sharing stories of wonderful memories. And Jared says, the only thing would be, what if the person who died was a bastard? I have known people who have passed on that were not well liked, but there generally is still some contribution. And people will come back to them and celebrate, maybe not their personality, but their responsibilities. You know, generally someone is passionate about something, right? Maybe it's family, maybe it's work, maybe it's a cause. It's pretty rare that people are completely detached from everything. Yeah, see, I know what Stacy's into. Yes, I did a class on being a death doula. Amazing work. Good morning, Nathan. Absolutely amazing work. Powerful work. It's something that I hope we get better at. I say this tongue in cheek. I'm not sure I'm going to die. It hasn't happened yet. But the odds are not in my favor. Right? It's probably going to happen. And it's probably going to happen to all of us at some point. So making peace with that. And I think for a lot of us, it's feeling like we made a mark. Now, if you have kids, you can point to that and say, I left a mark there. Or maybe it's a cause or your profession. I'm leaving a mark. The only resistance I would have, other than not wanting to go, the only true resistance I would have in passing away at this point is that there's more work to do. And there's more work that I will do because I'm still here. Now let's flip over with this. I'm looking for a segue between talking about death and World Karate Day, but I'm not quite finding it. There's probably something in there, but it's I don't think it's great. Kelly says, my father always said we are supposed to leave the world a better place than it was when we arrived. I believe that is our duty as a living being. Do a little bit more than your share. Leave a little bit more than you take. Our goal as part of a species should be to help our species advance. It's something that we as human beings do not do a good job with. It's something that every other species seems to understand implicitly, that it's not about them, it's about the continuation of the species. So if you focus on doing it just a little bit of good, making it just a little bit better for your kids or the next generation, or however you want to think of it, it's a good thing to do. Jenny says, for those of you tuning in at this point, the show is not grim. It's a good topic, I promise. Tommy says, making peace with it is actually one of those simple, not easy things, but I think you're right. Having been on borrowed time for many years now, make plans. Then he adds, get involved in stuff bigger than yourself. Well said. Oh, and I missed this, but I want to share it. Stacy says, would that be an enduring footprint you were leaving? Well, that is up to others to determine. Kelly says, so to get back to Karate Day, what are we leaving behind before we die? Or what do we hope to leave as a lesson? All right. So some of the text that came over on this is a little bit rough. Not grammatically, not other ways, but I'm going to read this. I may take some liberties with it. Today's World Karate Day, and this is from marketresearchtelecast.com. World Karate Day is celebrated every October 25th, as declared by the Okinawa Karate World Assembly in 2005 to commemorate this sport that is practiced in more than 150 countries around the world. It's more than that. There's more than 150 countries doing karate. Because there are, 180 something countries? There's karate everywhere. Karate is a martial art originating from the Ryukyu Islands, Okinawa, and then began to be practiced in Japan in the early 20th century, specifically in the Islas Ryukyu, currently known as the Okinawa Prefecture, as part of the cultural exchanges between the Japanese and the Chinese. Most of our movements are based on Chinese or Wushu styles, and to a lesser extent from other disciplines from the Southeast, such as Thailand, the Philippines, and Indonesia. First names that this style received were Tuidi, Tode, or the most commonly accepted one, Te, which means hand or fist. Prior to it being fist, it was often, I forget what the Japanese for it was, but it was Chinese fist. This style emerged in the 17th century when the island's inhabitants wanted to protect the last king of Okinawa, acquainted with Shotai, and themselves from the invasion of the samurai clan Satsuma. I'm a little congested, probably the cream in my coffee. As a result of this meaning, the inhabitants absorbed techniques from other styles, such as Judo and Kendo, later techniques of the Aikido. This is work with the spirit of this. Okay. With the passage of time, this martial art spread to Japan, where it was called Karate Do, but the kanji used were Chinese and the name meant Chinese hand. There we go. Many Japanese preferred to write it then in hiragana, which is to write it as it sounds and not in Asian symbology, and then they translate it as the empty hand. Since then, Karate Do has been known as the way of the empty hand, according to Buddhist beliefs. Well, Do means way, so yeah. Japan's first karate club was established at Keio University in 1932, and clubs were opened in major Japanese universities within a few years. Martial arts movies of the 60s and 70s increased the popularity of martial arts around the world, resulting in karate schools around the world. We owe a lot, I'll take a segue here. We owe a lot of karate spread specifically to the efforts within, I don't know that it was always called the JK, the Japanese Karate Association, which I don't believe it's exclusively Shotokan, but started with, or at least is primarily Shotokan karate, as well as Kyokushin. From what I understand, there were concerted efforts in both systems to spread them. You know, it's in a similar way that one might spread a religion. Not quite as organized as Korea spread Taekwondo, but similar direction. Karate is characterized by the uses of punch and kicks, combining strength, breathing, balance, and posture. Some modern styles feature grappling, throwing, and pressure point attacks. All right. Nothing in there's really wrong, but, you know, I get the sense that was written originally by someone who doesn't quite know karate. Not throwing any shade Frank's way at all, because where are you going to get an appropriate length definition for karate? It's either going to be super short, it's going to be a Wikipedia page, and we don't have time for that. So, here we go. So Left Leg J says, haha, transition from death to karate day. You could borrow from the Korean term shimsa that my teacher used for testing. He always said it meant sudden death. Death to one thing could mean birth to another. There you go. See, that is a much better transition than I would have found. Thank you. Tommy acknowledges JK really did some amazing work in spreading karate. And Jared says, and I trust Jared on this subject, I think both karate, aikido, and even taekwondo base their spread on the worldwide spread of judo. So we owe Kano. Well, there you go. Regardless, it almost doesn't matter what you practice. Whatever you practice, there has been an influence from karate. If you practice taekwondo, whether you like it or not, your taekwondo really started as karate. If you practice, let's say, a Chinese martial art or something that is not stylistically had karate influence, there's a good chance that you personally have had karate influence. The Karate Kid, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? There's a lot of overlap in the way martial arts are presented today. And let's face it, even most of the population generically refers to martial arts as karate most of the time, especially now with Cobra Kai. If you don't practice karate, there's a good chance that you got the opportunity to practice what you practice, at least in part, because somebody along the way did karate. Maybe it was, if you started as a kid, maybe your parents were exposed to karate in films. When we take a look at the global breakdown of martial arts practitioners, something like 50 million people, according to Japan, last time I looked at the numbers, and I think that number is low, practice karate globally. It's a lot of people. You don't have to do a lot of math to figure out that all of us, no matter what we practice, are connected to some of those people in that group of 50 million. If it wasn't for karate, the show wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have met any of you. Think about that. I love this. Tommy says, even in my Tai Chi class, somebody will say, what kind of karate is that? I love it. Zed says, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Yeah, in G.I. Joe. They're doing karate. Kelly says, how many people started training due to the Karate Kid? A lot. So many interviews I've heard you do your guest mention that movie. It's so true. All right. Brian's the exception. Brian says, we would have met. Okay, you're right. We would have met. I first met Brian professionally through the computer company I started. All right. But we wouldn't be talking now. All right. I hope you have a great day. I hope that you go practice some karate in the most generic sense. I hope that you are willing to support the work that we do. Buy something at whistlekick.com. Use the code FirstCup15. Mugs and shirts and hats and sparring gear. There is still some sparring gear. We have, I think, let's see. I don't know that I can make a full set for every combination out of black gear anymore, but I think we can do red still. If you want gear, don't wait. I know we've got some school owners who watch this. If you have your wholesale account set up and you've been dilly-dallying, ordering, don't do it. Order now. For the rest of you, you've also got the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. Starts at $2 a month. At $5 a month, we send you stuff. Not to mention all the behind-the-scenes stuff you get access to. And if you want the whole list, it's the family page. I did update the family page yesterday. There are a few photos from the weekend. Not the singer. My actual weekend. And we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We are getting there on the Twitch. The Twitch numbers. We're closing in. We're at like 1 point something. We got to get to 3. We'll get there. I appreciate all of you for that. I think this is Gabe. After watching Justin, this was over the weekend, do a Kung Fu form, we had a student's mom ask, is that a different type of karate? It's all karate. And I'll leave you with this. Come on. I clicked it. There we go. Stacy says, I love my Whistlekick family. You all make my day. Mine too. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic day, everyone, as Brian says, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.